Hello everyone. We acknowledge the Gadigal people, the traditional custodians of this land on which the library sits, and of the sea and the sky which surrounds us. We pay our respects to elders past, present and future. I'd like to welcome everybody. It's lovely to see people here to support Smaranda. Smaranda has been writing, since she was a young girl. In Romania, she wrote and had published countless short stories and essays, opinion reviews and professional papers, but whatever she was doing, whatever work she had, she was always a writer. When she came to Australia, she took a break because, she had to learn the language, she had to familiarise herself with the idioms of the language, she had to make sure that her family was established, and that all took quite some time. Occasionally, she still wrote short stories, which were published in Romanian magazines, but the writing output died for some time. And then came 2020. There were two things which happened in 2020, one on a personal level to Smaranda and one on an international level. On a personal level, Smaranda had been diagnosed with cancer, and on an international level, the coronavirus was spewing out poison all over the world. So people lost their hectic life. Corona lockdowns slowed people down. Smaranda's recovery from cancer also slowed her down. She had to take it easy. So what she did was she gave forth to something that was always in her, always bubbling in her, and never died. She began her writing again, but not just short stories. She wrote her first big major opus. And that was a novel in 2 volumes called The ABC of One's Life. And this dealt with Romania at the time of 1950s to 1972, which was a very conspicuous time in that nation. Anyway, she was highly acclaimed for that book, and she received the Trophy of Excellence. She was awarded for excellence in Romanian literature. Anyway, once she began writing, that passion within her, which sort of was simmering, burst into flames, and once she started, there was no stopping her. She wrote several other books, and the latest 2 are the feature of today's book launch. One of them is a novel called Bumerangul, and the other one is a series of short stories, and it is also the first time that Smaranda wrote in the English language, a major piece of work. So that's a series of 6 short stories, but they are comprised to make a whole. Now, before I begin, I'd like to thank Mrs. Brooke Carrington, who is the State the State Library's events coordinator. We thank her for offering the use of this room as a venue for the book launch, but we also thank her team for providing help and assistance whenever it was needed. I'm not going to talk about the books because there will be speakers that will talk about it at length. So I might begin with Vasile Poenaru. He has sent a video, and so he has spoken on video, so we'll welcome him. Vasile Poenaru is a poet, a prose writer, a translator, but he is also the founder and the CEO of Caresi Publishing House, which has published Smaranda's books.
Hello everyone. My name is Vasile Poenaru. I am the CEO of Caresi Publishing House, based in Bucharest, Romania. It's a great pleasure for me to present Smaranda Kafka, a distinguished Romanian-Australian writer. Smaranda Kafka, formerly known as Smaranda Ghisha, is a Romanian-Australian writer hailing from Șofronea, Arad, Romania. She began her educational journey at Elena Ghiba Birta High School in Arad, before pursuing studies at the University of Bucharest, specializing in French language, literature, culture, and pedagogy. Her academic pursuits led her to postgraduate courses in various Romanian universities, including those in Bucharest and Timișoara, as well as the University Standard in Grenoble, France. Following her relocation to Australia, she earned a diploma of education from the University of New England. Initially, Smaranda Kafka's literary contributions took the form of short stories published in local press and at the University of Grenoble Press in France. After a hiatus of several years, she resumed writing short stories which found a home in numerous cultural magazines worldwide. In Australia, her works graced the pages of the Romanian-Australian Anthology of Poetry and Prose, Zion West Cultural Magazine, and the anthology Taina Scrisului, Mystery of Writing. She also made significant contributions to publications such as Destine Literare, Literary Destinies, USA and Canada, and Lumina Lina, Gracious Light, a magazine of Romanian spirituality and culture based in New York. In Romania, her writings were featured in literary and cultural magazines such as Gutenberg, Arad, and Bucureștiul Literar și Artistic, Literary and Artistic Bucharest, among others. In 2021, Coresi Publishing House released her autobiographically infused novel ABC-ul unei vieți, The ABC of One's Lifetime, in 2 volumes. The book offers a glimpse into the world as seen through the eyes of a young girl, chronicling the influences that shaped her in her formative years. In 2022, Coresi Publishing released Alb și Negru la voia destinului, Black and White, at Destiny's Beck and Call, a collection of 6 short stories covering a wide range of themes, characterized by a diverse array of styles, tones, and subjects. Early in 2023, her book Layers Upon Layers was published in English. This collection of short stories delves into the depths of the human soul. The book was initiated as a translation of Alb și Negru la voia destinului, Black and White at the Beck and Call of Destiny, but the translation deviated so much from the original that the recreated work can be seen as a literary endeavor in its own right. Smaranda Kafka's latest book, the novel Bumerangul, The Boomerang, tackles entirely different subjects. Page after page, it traces the life of a woman across her physical, energetic, and spiritual dimensions, alongside her personal journey through social and emotional coordinates. Its conclusion engages the reader, inviting them to pen the final paragraph. Kafka's writing style is characterized by its lyrical and introspective nature. Her narratives often delve into the complexities of human emotions and relationships, exploring themes of identity, belonging, and the immigrant experience. Through her poignant storytelling, Kafka weaves together vivid imagery and nuanced characters that resonate with readers on a deep emotional level. One of Kafka's notable strengths lies in her ability to capture the essence of cultural duality. Her works often reflect the interplay between her Romanian heritage and her experiences in Australia, providing a unique perspective on the challenges and triumphs of navigating multiple cultural identities. Kafka's literary endeavors have earned her recognition both in Romania and Australia. Her writings have been published in various literary journals and anthologies, and she has been invited to participate in numerous cultural events and discussions. In addition to her literary pursuits, Kafka is also known for her advocacy of cross-cultural understanding and appreciation. She actively engages with communities in both Romania and Australia, fostering connections and dialogue between different cultural groups. Overall, Smaranda Kafka stands as a distinguished figure in the world of contemporary literature, celebrated for her profound insights into the human condition and her ability to bridge the gap between cultures through her art history. Recently, she was honored with the Excellence Trophy in Madrid by the Occidentul Românesc organization for her significant contributions to promoting Romania's image worldwide.
Thank you, Vasile Poenaru. The next speech is a correspondence from Spain, which Mrs. Cassandra Kalman Nosodian sent by letter. Now it took me a lot of effort to say that name, so I'll just say she. She is the editorial director of the Romanian-Australian newspaper, whose 30,000 publications per month appear in Spain, Portugal, Andorra, Gibraltar, Canary Islands, and is also read in England, Germany, Switzerland, America, and Canada. So she has a large sphere of influence. And she sent a letter with regards to Smaranda, which Mrs. Julia Brooks will read.
Dear literature enthusiasts, it is an honor for me to present to you today a prominent figure in contemporary literature, Smaranda Kafka. Writer Smaranda Kafka, living in Sydney, Australia, has been awarded the Romanian Excellence Trophy for her entire literary career and for representing excellence in Romanian literature beyond Romania's borders. This award was granted in the literature category during the third editions of the We Support Excellence campaign held in Madrid in the fall of 2022. The campaign was launched by the non-profit organization El Occidente Romano on January 15, 2015, through the Romanian language publication Occidentul Românesc. Smaranda has been designated to be a part of the jury for the fourth edition 2023-2024 of the Campaign for Excellence Among Romanians Outside Romania, organized by Occidentul Românesc. She is also one of the 5 honored guests at this event, which will take place from November 8th to 10th, 2024 in Valencia. Smaranda Kafka is an exceptional Romanian writer who skillfully places words in a literary universe, transforming human experiences into sensitive and profound works of art. Originally from the commune of Șofronia, Arad County, Transylvania, Smaranda found in words a means to bring to life stories and emotions that resonate with readers everywhere. From short prose, Smaranda Kafka has transitioned to long prose, focusing on substantial creations that explore human depths and translate them into powerful words. If her first novel, The ABC of Life, is an emotional autobiographical journey dedicated to her parents and grandparents and was enthusiastically received and provided readers with an intimate glimpse into the life and legacy of the author, the short stories books Black and White at the Wheel of Destiny and Layers Upon Layers are a collection of stories that prove to be true literary gems. The 6 distinct stories, each in theme and style, reveal the remarkable skills of the author in exploring various aspects of humanity and translating them into captivating prose. What defines Smaranda Kafka's writings is her ability to create literary boomerangs, works that, like a weapon, return to the reader with captivating force. In her pages, we find not only beautifully written stories, but also reflections of human realities with all their complexities, joys, and sorrows. Through her words, Smaranda Kafka becomes a distinct voice in contemporary Romanian literature. By exploring human depths and expressing her sensitivities with literary grace, she has captivated the hearts of the readers. Each of her works represents not only a literary creation, but also an invitation to an emotional and intellectual journey. Through her words, Smaranda Kafka continues to enrich and illuminate the Romanian literary universe. Today, I respectfully propose that we travel together through the captivating pages of her new novel, Bumerangul, the Boomerang. The new book opens in a captivating way, offering us an insight into the universe of empathy and spirituality. The protagonist, through whom the author conveys humanistic ideas, becomes a symbol of courage and perseverance. From the beginning, Smaranda Kafka places the reader in the midst of a story that not only stirs emotion, but also explores human depths, revealing unexpected layers of life. The structure of the novel and the author's higher studies are reflected in thorough analysis, the power of selection, and the capacity for reflection. The universe created by Smaranda Kafka thus becomes a literary realm where each page becomes a journey of discovery, and each character contributes to building a complex panorama of human experiences. Through characters such as Victoria, Puiu, Otilia, Mr. Maghiaru, and others, Smaranda creates a network of parallel, surprising, and vibrant stories. In the world she reconstructs, sorrows melt away and characters evolve under the growing light of a future full of hope. The Boomerang is not just a story. It becomes an exploration of language, dialect, and literary language. The author's authority is felt in defining the Romanian world, a world that Smaranda Kafka has known and lived deeply, bringing us a fresh and authentic perspective. In conclusion, The Boomerang is not just a novel, but a work of literary art that invites us to reflect on human values and to travel into the rich and complex world created by an undeniable talent of Smaranda Kafka. I invite each reader to be enchanted by this literary boomerang and to enjoy each page as if it were a revelation. With these words, I invite you to lose yourselves in the wonderful world of the novel The Boomerang, to explore the captivating literary world created by Smaranda Kafka, and to let yourselves be carried away by the magic words and stories full of depth and sensitivity. Thank you for your attention. With love and appreciation from the Kingdom of Spain, Cassandra Calman Nasaudean, Editorial Director of the Romanian language publication in the Iberian Peninsula, Occidental Romanesque.
The next thing on the program is a video which was made by Smaranda and Gabby's first friends when they arrived in Australia, in Lithgow, before they knew anybody there. I think they lived next door?
Not really, but close.
Yeah. So they were unable to come, unfortunately, so they sent a video instead.
Hi everyone, we're David and Joy Scott, the good friends of Gabby and Smaranda. It's disappointing we can't be present today on this very special occasion. However, we appreciate being able to join you this way. And as Smaranda launches her latest book called Layers Upon Layers.
Hi Smaranda, thank you for sending me my copy of Layers Upon Layers. I've nearly finished reading it, and although I've lived in Lithgow for 55 years, there's lots of things in there that I've discovered through your insight. I love your sense of humour.
So the obvious question is, how did we meet Gabby and Smaranda when they came to live in Lithgow? Our daughter Alison and family were preparing with other Aussies to live in Romania. And we became very interested when we heard that there was some people living in Lithgow who spoke Romanian. And not only that, the lady was a teacher. So it was a great blessing to be able to utilise Smaranda's Romanian language and her professional teaching experience. Smaranda graciously agreed to assist this group of Aussies preparing to work together as a team and travelled to Sydney, to Riverstone, to do this. Joy and I used to take turns twice a week travelling down to Riverstone to take her to this this Romanian lessons. And I remember one day on one of these trips, Smaranda said to me, "David, you know, I can make you famous." The interesting thing is, I think she's the one that's become famous and I'm still just trying. So now, how do we meet Gabby? He came to work at our printing company as working in the maintenance, using his skills there. And then while he was there, he saw the opportunity and started a courier business, delivering parcels to Sydney every day. That business still continues today under different owners. Now, there are many stories that we could tell about our times together with Gabby and Smaranda, learning differences in our culture. We shared times together in each other's homes, socially. We had many wet Easter camping experiences together with our friends. And all these times we could say we're enriched with Gabby and Smaranda's love of life and many stories. So well done, Smaranda. And all the best for you and your family.
We're still trying to visit.
Layers Upon Layers is dedicated to Joy and David, sorry. As I said, they were the first friends that they made when they came to Australia. I was involved with Layers Upon Layers also very closely because, as I said, this book is the first major piece of work that Smaranda has attempted to write in English. And she wasn't altogether confident that she was doing the right thing, and so she asked me if I would edit the book. And I took great pleasure in doing so. And so I was deeply involved in it. I'd just like to tell you briefly what is in the book and hopefully inspire you to get it, because you will be pleasantly surprised. Okay, Layers Upon Layers is composed of 6 short stories which give a very descriptive account of the immigrant's journey, the arrival into a country, the lifestyle and the culture, and which is so different from the one that's been left behind. They give a powerful portrayal of, initially, the sense of alienation, of loneliness, and longing for the motherland, but which over time evolved into an acceptance and appreciation of the beauty of the new country, and finally into a sense of belonging and love. Not for the new country, for both. There are merits in both. Although the stories are set as fiction, in my opinion, they are essentially autobiographical in nature. And although the protagonist in each story is a different character, I feel that they are all one and the same person, Smaranda. Now, I did ask her, is it autobiographical? And she refused to say yay or nay. But I know the answer. Okay, story 1 is called Questions and Answers, and it centres around Elena, a widow and a mother whose child has left Romania to live her married life in Australia. The story gives a vivid and poetic portrayal of village life in winter and the traditions of the Christmas holiday season. Elena embarks on a journey to Australia to join her daughter's family, and the reader is taken on a hilarious joyride with the humorous description of the difficulties that she encounters on the plane trip. I'd like to read to you two very short versions, extracts I mean. The first one shows Smaranda's beautiful descriptive qualities of writing. And she's describing the village, which is blanketed in snow. Outside, wild howling winds were scattering dry, dead leaves in every direction, swirling moth-like around naked trees and creating a piercing chill in the air. Or conversely, fresh, crisp air with powdery snowflakes shaking out the silences of the night and covering gently the stained glass windows. A phantasmic stillness illuminated by the Lady of the Night, the moon, was joining the odes of joy, sent by faraway twinkling little stars. Now it's a very powerful piece of descriptive prose. And it also is one of those things that Cassandra referred to as little gems. And right throughout the book there are just little gems in her writing, beautiful little expressions and plays with language. And when you consider that this is her second language, it's really marvellous. The other one is an episode on the plane, which also shows her comic abilities. Elena hoped that there wouldn't be too many problems with the flight. And there wouldn't have been, except the trip was so long, and despite following the doctor's advice to take a walk every 3 hours, her feet swelled and became cumbersome logs, rendering them too big to fit into the shoes she had removed. Except that whenever she was thirsty and asked for water, she received apple juice instead. And that was the trouble. Big trouble. The lady didn't know English or German, and the Austrian flight attendant didn't know Romanian. Therefore, any time Elena would ask for a glass of water, she would say, "Please, apa." And the German lady was straight away bringing her an apple juice, saying, "Ein Apfeljuice, bitte." And so on and so on. Elena would ask, "Please, apa." Gerne. And she brought her an apple juice. "Madame, please, apa." Noch einmal eine Apfelkohl, which is German for "would you like another apple juice," but probably pronounced a lot better than that. The Austrian flight attendant would ask, "Ein Apfeljuice spritzer?" Well, what could she say? Exasperated, she conceded defeat. Da, ja. She sighed in resignation. What the heck to say? She did not speak the lady's language, and the attendant did not understand her Romanian. So, all bad. We are like inmates in the Tower of Babel, Elena thought. She was asking for one thing, and the attendant was bringing her another. And so it continued throughout all the journey, resulting in the poor woman having to go to the toilet every half hour. She began to think, these strangers do not know what water is. Maybe they only drink apple juice. Great is your garden, Lord, she muttered to herself. This is crazy. Will it be the same in Australia? Will I have to collect rainwater when I am thirsty? Okay, story 2 is called Shadows and Lights. And the story is about Anda's attempt to adjust to her new life in Lithgow. This tale shows a lovely and delicate juxtaposition between the old and the new, exploring as it does Anda's psychological evolution. Initially, she is held captive by her metaphorical friend, longing. Feelings of despair, loneliness, alienation, bit by bit evolved into acceptance, integration, and a sense of belonging. At the end of the story, she realizes that the negative feelings that she has are not the country's fault, but hers. She has a eureka moment in which she realizes that she needs to change her perceptions and expectations to achieve happiness. She needs to be reborn. Okay, before I go on to the third one, I just want to say a little something about longing. Now, longing in the story is a person that speaks to her. It's personified. And I am not sure whether Smaranda sort of feels the same way, but when I read, and I think she does maybe, but when I sort of read the part about longing, it suddenly occurred to me that longing is not so much longing for the food of the old country, the culture of the old country, the traditions of the old country, because they play a strong part. But I think what the strongest part is language, because language defines the way, shapes you. It defines what you think, what you feel, what you, your psychological and philosophical stance. And I think the loss of that language probably is the biggest thing. And that's where the longing comes. For the other parts as well, the food, the culture, the traditions and the lifestyle, but language, I think, is a very, very important, the most important element. Okay, the third story, Don't Believe Everything You Are Told. This story is set in the time of the coronavirus lockdowns, during which time Lysandra, the protagonist, was recovering from cancer. The title refers to the protagonist's refusal to accept her doctor's assertions that she needs to be extra cautious in this period of the corona epidemic, as, with her weakened system from the cancer, she is a perfect candidate to have a major problem if she were to catch the virus. Whilst Lysandra does not act recklessly, nor does she hide from the world and become a housebound recluse, she still, nevertheless, does not believe in limiting oneself. A life half-lived is not a life, and Lysandra's not ready to enter the valley of death, at least mentally. Now, there are also, while it's a fairly serious topic, there are many, many light-hearted notes in it, and funny notes. Like whenever she goes to the hospital and a very prim and proper Indian doctor has to tell her to lay off having sexual intercourse for some weeks while she undergoes this chemotherapy, yeah. And the difficulty that she has talking about this subject openly, and it's just described in a funny way. Okay, the next story, Images and Reflections. Whilst different in subject matter, this story shares similarity of themes and structure with story 2. The dichotomy of opposing forces continues in the life lived and the life left behind. Nellie, the protagonist, sets out on a journey from Lithgow, her hometown, to Sydney to visit her son. On the surface, she appears adjusted and content with her new life. But as the story progresses, we, the reader, find out her insecurities, her difficulties with belonging, her inner torment, and these culminate at the end of the story with the battle between mind and the heart. As in story 2, she has another eureka moment at the end. The story is tied together from beginning, it's a cycle. The end echoes the beginning, and it ends on a humorous note, it begins on a humorous note, with this litter of newborn puppies just creating havoc by running in all directions, making it impossible to catch them. Okay, the story 6 is called South Sea Stories, and this story is the least introspective and psychological in nature. It also differs in that it doesn't have a main female protagonist. There is, the story is about a couple. Now the couple are not even given names, just they're the couple. And if they are referred to individually, they are the man or the woman. The setting is Fiji, a tropical paradise for the visiting couple. The writer gives a very detailed and evocative description of the beauty of the island, both in its natural surroundings and the friendliness, warmth and culture of its people. The idyllic nature of the Fijians, captured so vividly by Smaranda, come to an explosive finale at the end, when the couple realise that life is not always as it seems. And I think that is generally to do with lots of people who show a life which is not as it's always as it seems. Okay, thank you. And Smaranda Kafka.
Hello everyone. Thank you all for coming. This is a very special day for me, and your presence means the world to me. Before coming today, I was told, if you are going to speak, don't try to be too charming, too witty, or too intellectual. Just be yourself. So I wrote some notes, and I'll do my best, and I hope that my few-minute speech wouldn't take an hour to deliver it. This month, October, marks 50 years anniversary of Romania's diplomatic relations with Australia. And what else can unite people more than art? I would like to express my gratitude to my family, Gabriel, Lucian, Belinda, and the little ones, Avi and Anna, who have come to support me and who have helped make this book launch possible. Thanks my amazing book editor, Liz De Coster, our moderator, who was very kind to come to Sydney. Also, she was very busy preparing a new play at her theater in Blue Mountains. And the last and certainly not the least, I would like to thank Mr. Vasile Poenaru, the editor-in-chief of Coresi Publishing House, Bucharest, and the whole editorial team from Romania who helped me along the way. Special thanks to Ms. Cassandra Kalman Năsăudean, the editorial director of Romanian-Australian magazine, journalist and founder of international project We Support the Excellence, and the Gala of Excellence, a gala where the trophies awarded represent a tribute given to outstanding Romanians from all over the world, Romanians who are true image ambassadors of Romania outside its borders. Thank you all for attending this Romanian-Australian cultural event. Writing these two latest books wasn't an easy task given the personal challenges I've been through in recent months. It took me hours, days, and sleepless nights to finalize them. But now I'm at peace and happy with myself. And if you will read my writings, I promise that you will finish them hopefully enriched by challenging experiences the characters live through. Although no book is like the other, they still have something in common, and that is the emotion. I put myself in characters' life with honesty and sincerity, and that frees, releases tension, cleans and purifies the soul, building a bridge between human beings. Now about these two books we launched today, Layers Upon Layers and Romanian novel Bumerangul, just a few words. If initially Layers Upon Layers was supposed to be a translation of the Romanian book I wrote in 2021, Alb și negru la voia destinului, eventually it masked its own rebirth into another form of expression in the English book. As the saying goes, they are brothers but siblings, not twins. The English book follows the same narrative as the Romanian one, and while it keeps the spirit of the original work, it has its own soul, manifesting through a series of subsequent changes while remaining obedient to the author's perception of the reality the characters live in. And even though layers upon layers brings out the same memories, sounds, colors, images, and facts as the Romanian version, it still sounds and feels differently. It's a bunch of story about older and newer times, about places far away, about people, customs, and different tradition. You are invited in a journey from northern Romanian Maramuresh villages to trips around Australia, from Transylvania's Christmas customs to Aboriginal customs, from funny incidents to sad story. I encourage you to close your eyes and see with your soul. The stories are different. I do not know what I like the most. Maybe images and reflections that starts with going on a road and not knowing which direction to take. It is much harder than the road itself. It is a permanent struggle between perception, and reality, between heart and mind, between strength and weakness, between shadow and light. The second book, Bumerangul, addresses completely different topics. Page by page follows a woman's life, as Mr. Vasile Poenaru said, in her physical, energetic, and spiritual dimension, along her personal journey on social and emotional coordinates. It does start with the saying, for those who have a credo, there are no limits. For those who have no limits, there are no obstacles. For those who do not stumble upon obstacles, the sky opens. Cartea începe spunând, pentru cei care au un crez, nu există limite. Pentru cei care nu au limite, nu există obstacole. Pentru cei care nu se împiedică de obstacole, se deschide cerul. The end is an open end. It does involve you, the readers, urging you to write the last line. Vânt în pupă, drag Boomerang. Fair winds and following seas, dear Boomerang. Now to finish my speech. Most of you know about me, a bit of this, a bit of that. Some may know that I wrote since my childhood. Others didn't know that and may wonder why I do write now. For whom? What for? Adding sometimes, who do you think still reads books nowadays? You know, somebody asked Picasso while he was painting, I have been watching for 2 hours, but I can't see what the purpose of your painting is. Picasso said, I was going to ask you, because you have watching me for 2 hours. Perhaps you may have figured it out by now. And he added something very significant. Nobody looks at the rose flower and asks what the purpose of it is. And the rose flower can dance in the wind, in the rain, in the sun, and nobody bothers about its purpose. So, why people bother me? I'm enjoying painting. That's enough. More than that, it's not needed. A purposive life is the life of a slave. I don't remember what, if, or how I reacted at my friends' questions, why and what for I write. I'm from Transylvania, western part of Romania. And Transylvanians people are like outstanding people, very, very smart people, but they speak slower than the rest of Romanians. So the other people try to tease them, make jokes on them about what they can. And one of these jokes is that the Transylvanians, you tell them a joke on Wednesday, and they will laugh on Saturday. Today is Saturday, so I may give them my answer now. Writing is such a great feeling. You know, writing sometimes has orgasmic connotations. You feel like you are involved in a creative effort. The way you manage to get into the skin of characters is an essential element. You feel like you are melting there, and it's beautiful. You keep writing each day, and eventually you become addicted. You go into withdrawal, and if that goes away, you may disappear too. While working on my books, I understood that for a storyteller, a contemporary writer, writing in a digital world, a materialistic world, in a life full of challenges, where we are witnessing an involution of global civilization, of human society, people need moral support. And the only hope we have for a brighter future is attracting the people to our education books. So ultimately, I think, and I'm coming back to this idea, the success of a good writer is due to his talent, of course, but also to the emotions the readers feel when they read his books. Dears, you will find in my writing a lot of challenging stories and interesting characters. You wouldn't be indifferent. You may love them, or you may hate them. Maybe you may try to understand them. I don't know. But what I do know is that the fastest way to communicate writer to reader is through emotion. This is the shortest way, and a good writer knows that. We have in this room few artists, musicians, painters, poets, actors. You all know the importance of emotion through what you manifest. You and I know that only a loving heart, full of energy, gives us the ability to translate a certain situation in words, sounds, and colors. While the brain is amazing, powerful, and useful, it does come with limitations. There is some stuff the brain just doesn't know, which is where the heart comes in. And that allows us to live with uncertainty, to find strength, resilience, courage, and persistence in tough times, to cast off self-criticism and doubt, and have a lot more confidence in life. And a good book is the key to that. So, open heart, open mind, open doors. Thank you.
We invite David Badia to come and speak about layers upon layers.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate the hospitality and the time to be a part of this event, this wonderful commemoration of an important work. I was thinking I wanted to prepare some notes to sort of talk people through the reader's perspective, but I thought for a second, why is it me giving the reader's perspective? I can't give you a perspective on the migrant experience as an adult or as a young adult. I came to Australia with my mother when I was before school. I was preschool age. I can't give you a woman's perspective. I can't give you the perspective of someone who's been through a full life of experiences across the world, and therefore I'm thoroughly unqualified to give the reader's perspective, but I think that's why I was asked. So this is thank you. So I thought to myself, well, what can one say about a book when you've previously never written one, like me? You can't identify innately with some of those characters' experiences. So while I was not a part of the writing of the book, I've decided to be a part of destroying a particular copy of a book. So this one will never be able to be put on resale because I've made notes in the margins and destroyed it. So that is my connection to the book. So when I sort of went through the book, though, from that slightly removed perspective of, yes, a migrant and a Romanian, and of course there are many Romanians in the room. You can hear them because they're the ones that laughed at the upper joke. There is a lot in it for someone who can't identify with the female characters in the book at that level of depth where they'll really have that resonance and impact. Partly because it's a funny book, partly because it's a book that reads almost like a bit of a dream, because it jumps from story to story, from experience of the character to another experience of the character very quickly. So it's the reader's responsibility to almost, I find, read it quickly. The quicker you read it, the more it feels like you're actually being put through a memory. When we think about our lives, we think about one experience, then it jumps to another, and they're all unrelated, but when you come back and look at it from a third-party perspective, you can see how it all ties together. And that is the autobiographical element, I think, of the book. It begins with, it has all different characters, and I do think there's clearly some autobiographical threads, but they're not all necessarily the same person. It begins with travel to Australia, where all of the different experiences are larger than life. You have... and I won't ruin what I think is actually the best joke of the book about the passport. That's for you all to buy the book. The need to appreciate that when coming to a new country, everything is larger than life. That is by far the slowest reading chapter of the book, because every small experience is so significant, because everything is so foreign. And I think that is the experience of those Romanians who come to Australia at an adult age. But it also sheds light on the matter-of-factness of Romanians and Eastern Europeans, because with every challenge that Elena is put through, she has a good sense of humour, and she brushes through issues and people and events in order to get to where she's supposed to go. And I think that is much the experience of certainly the Romanians I know. You just get on with it. There's another I don't consider this as funny as the passport joke, so I will tell this one about the dinner party with Australians, where one of the character asks, how is it working on, there are children in the room, how is it working on the shift? But of course the Romanian uses a different word that sounds like shift to describe that character's a particular experience working on the mines. I'll leave you to imagine what that word beginning with S and ending with T is. Then it goes through some reasonably tragic events as well. There's an episode about a car crash. There is an episode about fires. But at the end of that experience, this is the experience of a migrant sort of coming to become integrated and assimilated into their society. It's actually those tragic moments that bring you together, not just with people that are from the country you're from, but also people that are from the country you've come to. That, I think, is quite significant, because it reflects on the fact that as a migrant, particularly from a country with a small diaspora, you do have a responsibility to put yourself out there, to try and connect with people that have had a different cultural experience, to try not to judge them. There's a part in the book about your standards and the place you're from, and to compare them with the people you knew growing up, but to look at them with fresh eyes and hope that that's how they will see you. And that is the cultural understanding, is putting aside your expectations of someone and pressing on and just taking them taking them at their best. One thing that I definitely could identify with, and I don't think this is unique to migrants, but there is something special when English is your second language around the alter ego, which is, we've all heard the expression of people who speak second languages that you can think in two languages as well. I think all migrants, all people who are raised in a household that doesn't speak English almost feel that they have two people inside of them, and over time they become integrated. You see things in different ways, you have different perspectives, and that certainly comes through in the book as well. That is something I think that's quite unique to someone when they go into a different country. They do have that responsibility to try and reconcile those two parts of themselves, but there is something beautiful in having them as almost separate senses of self. But the autobiographical element of the book continues not just through the arrival to Australia told from Elena's perspective, and through the integration into Australia told through Under's experience, but there are also other stories that take you through a return to Romania, a return to different island holidays. That is the cyclical element of life. Immigration is not often a one-way trip. If you do well enough for yourself, you can go back and compare the two. And there is a nice contrast between the perspective of the person who leaves, which is more nostalgic, and the perspective of someone who returns, which is more matter of fact. Particularly, the Maramuresh villages, which are empty at some times of the year and full at others. It is the people breathing life into the place. It almost separates the identity from the object, from the location, which is quite resonant and beautiful. And then I think the importance of the end is quite open-ended, and it doesn't end at a point in the person and the people's lives that you expect, which is two holiday experiences, one in Australia and one in the Pacific. The Australian holiday, the character promises themselves in an earlier part of the book to live in the moment, and then in this later part of the book they're on a beautiful helicopter ride throughout regional Australia, and they're not looking out the window because they're so afraid. The woman is fixated on the pilot's neck hairs and counting them so that she can get through the journey. There is that duality of people making a promise to yourself that you can't always keep, but trying to push through. That is not the experience necessarily of a migrant, it's just the experience of someone going through life. And so there is that story in it for everyone. But then there is that final story that speaks to the holiday in the Pacific, which is beautiful, utopian, larger than life, and the story ends with an attempt at translating what a young boy says in his Fijian language. It turns out he's talking about how they need to get one more fish for dinner, otherwise they won't have dinner. That is and there's a beautiful scene in which the weather changes and the feeling changes. It's quite powerful. It speaks to the fact that we don't always know what's in others. We don't always know their experiences, and that's probably a theme throughout the book, is that experiences are yours to have. Apart from that, there's not a whole lot of unique experience or view that I can leverage, apart from the fact that more people from backgrounds with small diasporas should be writing about their experiences. The experience of someone from a smaller country in Eastern Europe coming to Australia is unique. Often it can be, if you don't have the right friends or family, it can be a lonely one. And so getting some of these views, some of these experiences out into the world is immensely valuable. So I'm grateful to Smaranda for giving me an advanced copy. I'm sorry I can't give it back to you because it's not much, it won't be much good. But thank you all for having me to give the reader's perspective. Thank you.
She is an award-winning author whom I have known for over 30 years, and I'm proud and happy and lucky to call her my friend. Thank you.